what do you see here? Women burdened with childcare and family responsibilities, whereas men burdened with the economic responsibilities and tired by the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just something that you see in India, but these pictures reflect a systemic issue where most of the unpaid work, not just in India, but globally, is done by women. According to UN Women Report, in India, that accounts to 352 minutes per day for a woman versus 39 to 52 minutes for a man on a daily basis. These numbers represent a deep imbalance in family responsibilities. When you look at these numbers, if someone is shouldering so much of family responsibilities, what is this woman doing? What is this woman losing at the end of the day? And what is the impact of it on the families? This is what we are going to look at through my talk today. Is this just an Indian scenario, or is this happening across the world? If you look at it at the statistics, a mother in Japan also is forced to give up her profession only thanks to childcare. And not just that, even a young mother in Europe is shamed into accepting double responsibilities during childbirth and the most critical phases of women. So, what is the impact of this global challenge? How did I come across this challenge? A decade ago, I was working with an NGO where we were caring for newborn orphans who were in distress. And majority of the volunteers in that organization were women. And when I was having these conversations with those women, I realized they're all highly talented and they used to do their responsibilities so well. I used to be astounded that sometimes their managerial capabilities were much higher than someone in a very big corporate role. That got me into thinking. And later, in my prenatal sessions when I was working with majority of the hospitals in Hyderabad, I realized a similar pattern. When women used to come into the room for the postnatal class sessions along with their spouses, most of them were planning on taking a career break. For me, being a doctor and me myself when I was pregnant, I never took a break because pregnancy is a natural process. Why should only a woman take a break? Because childcare is not restricted to just a woman. Yes, it is a shared responsibility. So what is happening in this situation? These questions led me into thinking deep. And guess what? There is something called as motherhood penalty that a woman pays for every child being born. Literally 7% of the woman's earnings decrease with every childbirth. And when you look at an overall lifetime, this has reduced the lifetime earnings of a woman by 35%. And not just that, when you look at the financial security, the retirement savings of these women are close to 30% lower than the male counterparts. And career progression, this is a very, very shocking statistic that I have come across. Close to 25 to 75% of the women cannot get back to the work that they were doing pre-pregnancy. When I came across these numbers, I didn't want to sit quiet because in my work of working with the NGO mothers, I was really astounded by their talent. And I'm like, how come so many people are stepping out of the work? What is the impact of it on the GDP? Right? It is not only a woman's problem. This is a family's problem, because when both men and women are working together and they're having shared responsibilities, the family's wealth increases by more than 40%. If that is the situation of one family, imagine the impact on the GDP. Do you want to see the numbers? Here you go. 770 billion. This is a number that would add up to India's GDP if at all men start sharing responsibilities at home and both of them work together in an equitable environment. And the GDP of the nation can increase by at least 27%. With these numbers in hand, I started taking action. Right? I started doing sessions extensively. I wanted to take this voice to every corner of Telangana. And a lot of stakeholders were involved in this process, in this decision-making process. I have met up with a lot of leaders in not just the government, but also the media industry and stuff like that. And I was really supported by a lot of industry leaders in this mission. It's not just the film industry, but also the government. Every organization that I spoke to, they powered this mission. And together, it became a collective mission. I started working. I thought, I'm going to work for the rest of my life to at least help 1 million women wake up to their own power and potential. And guess what? Thanks to the support of all the stakeholders involved, when knowledge becomes power, when you start educating people at the right places, the mission became a movement. In less than 6 months, we were able to touch 500,000 people. And we launched an amazing program with the help of Government of Telangana. At that point of time, Jagdishwar Rao sir was heading the Women and Child Welfare Department. He helped me take this voice to the grassroots level, where all the Anganwadi workers in the districts of Telangana were educated on this. At that point of time, we still did not have as many districts that we have right now in Telangana. And most of the Anganwadi workers were educated. We had a 21-day session where it was then taken into every village at the grassroots level, right? And that's when change started happening. When women started realizing that pregnancy is not a disease, pregnancy is a phase of life where they need to delegate the responsibilities even to the man. As women, we are used to doing everything on our own, right? So instead of that, ask for help. Delegate the task. Make it a shared responsibility. Don't try to do everything on our own. This was what I was talking, and this translated into women gaining confidence in their body's ability and then having the mental and emotional space to start focusing on finances. And the impact of it from the offline, during COVID, we took it into online space, and from being a mother-focused mission, we moved it into a family-focused mission. Yes, and over the last few years, we have worked with more than 4 million plus people in helping families understand how together they can build not just families' wealth, but we can build up the society together. Yes, and with this, I would come to talk about the bigger picture. What can each of us do? How can each of us work together to build each other, build the families, and build our next generation? Right now, if you see globally, a lot of us are affected with, the education system is making us subject matter experts, but it is not giving us the life skills, especially the financial literacy is missing. So because of that, the overburdened societal expectations plus lack of financial literacy is resulting in consumerism and increase in high debt loads. So, how do we change this situation? It has to start from the school level. Financial literacy needs to be introduced right from the school age to the children. And it doesn't end with just children. Parents need to take responsibility. A lot of times I see a lot of women say, what's happening with taxes? Do you file your taxes? They don't have a clue. Do you take how much is your savings? What is your family's investments? A lot of times they say, no, it's okay, my husband handles everything. Even an earning mother also doesn't take responsibility of managing her finances. So it's not just about kids, but if we can take the responsibility, the woman, if we can claim our financial power back, and if we can break the taboos about money, if we can start discussing it in our living rooms, that's when real shift will happen. Not just that, each of us have this immense responsibility. The conversations need to move beyond our living rooms. Stand up. If you see a home where the boy child is not taking up their responsibilities or their daily chores seriously, we have to start educating the boy child to take up those responsibilities. And at the same time, in families where you see that imbalance, where mother-in-laws or mothers are forcing women to get into, they shame them for their ambition. Even something as basic as having a job, if they go to a job and they come home, complain about it, instead of supporting them, they say, why do you need to work? Yes, instead of doing that, if we start taking ownership and stand up for women to continue their roles, then it's going to be having a huge impact at the mental and emotional level. The second situation, equitable workplace policy. Why should there be only a maternity leave? Right? Paternity leave is also mandatory, right? Because both mother and father have to share the load, right? The amount of time a mother is given a maternity leave, I feel very strongly about fathers having a paternity leave too, so that they can equally participate in the growth of their children, and the responsibilities need to be shared very, very early on. And not just that, when women start taking up leadership roles, right, these policies will start changing. Instead of saying no, I see a lot of women in the corporate positions, they don't take up the next responsibility because they feel, okay, right now my kid is going to a 10th grade. Right now my kid is going to a 12th grade. Do you see any man deny a next level position or promotion just because their kid is being born, or they have to take care of them during their 10th or 12th exams? Never. So why should we give up on that, right? So this thought process needs to change, and the change has to start with us, where we take up responsibilities and leadership positions and advocate for women at work. This is not just improving only the woman's financial life and the mental and emotional status, but also it will have a huge impact on the family's finances also. And the next and most important thing is, instead of blaming how the society is right now, instead of saying this is how corporations are working right now, each of us should use our voice, because the clock is always ticking and it will continue to tick. Each of us has that finite amount of time. How effectively we use this finite amount of time which is given to us will make a huge impact. Let's stop blaming the society. Let's stop giving excuses. Let's step up in our own financial power and make a difference in this life. Yes? So, if not us, who is going to do it? If not now, when are we going to do it? This is Dr. Mani Pavitra. Thank you for this opportunity.